I never thought my own brother would choose his fiancée over me. But when Melissa started whispering lies about me to our entire family, I watched everything I'd built crumble in front of my eyes. My name is Rena. I'm 27 years old, and for the past 5 years, I've been the glue holding my family together. After our parents' messy divorce, I became the mediator, the peacekeeper, the one everyone called when things got hard. My younger brother Jake meant everything to me. We survived our childhood chaos together. We promised we'd always have each other's backs. Then Melissa walked into his life 8 months ago. At first, I tried to be happy for him. Really, I did. She seemed nice enough at family dinners. Polite. Charming. She laughed at Dad's terrible jokes and complimented Mom's cooking. But something felt off. The way she watched me when she thought I wasn't looking. That. Subtle comments that sounded sweet but left a bitter taste. I pushed those feelings down. I told myself I was being paranoid. The engagement announcement came fast. Too fast. Jake proposed after only 6 months of dating. When he called to tell me, his voice was electric with excitement. I forced enthusiasm into my congratulations even as my stomach twisted with doubt. Mom cried happy tears. Dad opened champagne. Everyone celebrated this whirlwind romance while I smiled and nodded and wondered why I felt like I was watching a car crash in slow motion. The first rumor started 3 weeks after the engagement party. My cousin Emma called me, her voice tight with concern. She'd heard from Melissa's sister that I was jealous of the engagement, that I'd always been possessive of Jake, that I couldn't handle him being happy with someone else. I laughed it off. It was ridiculous. I loved my brother. I wanted him to be happy. But Emma's call planted a seed of unease in my chest. Then came the dinner at Mom's house. The whole family gathered around her dining table like we did every Sunday. Melissa sat beside Jake, her hand resting on his arm possessively. Throughout the meal, she steered every conversation back to the wedding, the venue, the dress, the guest list. When I mentioned a work promotion I just received, she smiled and said, "That's nice, Rena. Some people really throw themselves into their careers when they're lonely." The table went quiet. Jake didn't say anything. He just squeezed her hand and changed the subject. I felt the shift that night. The way Mom's eyes flickered between Melissa and me with new assessment. The way Dad cleared his throat uncomfortably. My aunt asked me later if I was doing okay with a tone that suggested she'd heard things about me. Things that weren't true. The whispers grew louder over the next month. Melissa told Jake's best friend that I'd made inappropriate comments about their relationship. She told my grandmother that I'd refused to help with wedding planning because I was bitter. She told our family group chat that she'd tried to include me, but I kept pulling away. Each lie was carefully crafted. Each one had just enough plausibility to make people question me instead of her. I confronted Jake in his apartment one evening. He stood in his kitchen, defensive and confused. "Melissa said you've been cold to her," he said. "She's really hurt, Rena. She's been trying so hard to bond with you." I stared at my brother and felt something crack inside my chest. "She's lying to you," I said. "She's been spreading rumors about me to everyone. Can't you see what she's doing?" Jake's jaw tightened. "You sound paranoid," he said. "Melissa wouldn't do that. Maybe you need to look at why you're so resistant to her being part of this family." That conversation broke something between us. Jake stopped calling. He stopped texting. When I reached out, his responses were short and cold. Melissa had successfully driven a wedge between us, and everyone else was buying her version of events. A family barbecue, she played the victim perfectly. She teared up while telling my aunt how much she tried to win me over. How sad she was that I couldn't be happy for them. My aunt hugged her. My aunt actually hugged her while looking at me like I was the problem. I started keeping my distance. What else could I do? Every time I tried to defend myself, it sounded defensive. Every time I pointed out Melissa's manipulation, I looked jealous. She'd painted me into a corner so expertly. That fighting back only made me look worse. I stopped going to family events. I made excuses. I buried myself in work and tried to accept that I was losing my brother to someone who wanted me erased from his life. Then my phone rang at 2 a.m. It was Jake's best friend, Marcus. His voice was urgent and hushed. "Rena, you need to hear this," he said. I just left Jake's place. Melissa doesn't know I heard her, but she was on the phone with her friend. She was laughing about how easy it's been to turn everyone against you. She said you were the only person who saw through her act and she needed you out of the picture before the wedding. She's planning something bigger. Something at the bridal shower next week. My hand shook as I held the phone. Why are you telling me this? I asked, Mark aside, because I've been watching her too. I didn't want to believe it at first. But she's been doing the same thing to some of Jake's friends. Anyone who might question her. She's isolating him, Rena. And I finally have proof. He'd recorded part of the conversation. Melissa's voice came through tinny but clear on the audio file he sent. She was bragging about her manipulation tactics. Laughing about how gullible everyone was. Planning to publicly humiliate me at the bridal shower by staging some dramatic scene where I supposedly ruined her special moment. She thought through every detail. Every witness. Every social media post that would follow. I sat in my dark apartment and listened to that recording 5 times. My brother's fiancé had orchestrated an entire campaign to destroy my reputation and relationship with my family. And she'd almost succeeded. The question was what to do with this information. I could send it to Jake directly, but would he even listen? Would he accuse me of faking it? Melissa had her claws so deep into him that he might not believe his own ears. The bridal shower arrived. I showed up despite every instinct screaming at me to stay away. Melissa's eyes widened slightly when she saw me walk into the venue. She recovered quickly, pasting on that perfect smile. Rena, I'm so glad you came, she said loud enough for everyone to hear. I was worried you'd miss it. The room was full of female relatives and Melissa's friends. All eyes turned to me. I could feel the judgment. The curiosity. They were waiting to see if I'd make a scene. I played along for the first hour. I smiled. I participated in the games. I watched Melissa open gifts and gush about her perfect wedding. Then came the moment I'd been waiting for. Melissa's maid of honor stood up to give a speech. She talked about Melissa's kindness and generosity. About how lucky Jake was. About how Melissa had overcome so much adversity to find true love. The lies flowed so smoothly that several people wiped away tears. When the speech ended, I raised my hand. Can I say something? I asked. Melissa's smile froze. Of course, she said, her voice tight. I stood up, pulled out my phone, and connected it to the speaker system the venue had set up. I think everyone should hear what Melissa really thinks. I said, especially about family. I played the recording. Melissa's voice filled the room. Her laughter. Her casual cruelty. Her detailed plans to humiliate me. Her admission that she'd been systematically lying about me for months. The room went silent except for her recorded voice bragging about her manipulation. I watched the color drain from Melissa's face. She stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. That's not she started, but I cut her off, dictated and time-stamped, I said, and it's backed up in 3 different places. You wanted me out of Jake's life so badly that you were willing to destroy me. You convinced my entire family that I was jealous and bitter and vindictive. You almost succeeded. The aftermath was chaos. Melissa tried to claim the recording was fake. She tried to spin it as a joke taken out of context. But too many people had heard too much. My aunt's face had gone white. My grandmother was crying. Melissa's own friends looked horrified. She grabbed her purse and ran out of the venue, leaving behind her half-open gifts and shattered facade. Jake called me that night. His voice was broken. I'm so sorry, he said. God, Rena, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have seen it. I wanted to be angry. Part of me was angry. But mostly I just felt exhausted. She almost worked, I said. She almost destroyed us. Jake was quiet for a long moment. The wedding's off, he said finally. I ended it. I can't believe I let her do this to you, to us. The family gathered at Mom's house 2 days later. This time, the atmosphere was completely different. People apologized. They admitted they'd been too quick to believe Melissa's lies. They said they should have trusted me. The apologies felt hollow at first, but I saw genuine remorse in their eyes. They'd been manipulated too. Melissa had played everyone perfectly until she hadn't. Jake and I sat on Mom's back porch after dinner. The summer evening was warm and quiet. I don't know how to make this right, he said. I chose her over you. I believed her lies. I don't know if you can forgive me for that. I looked at my brother. Really looked at him. He'd lost weight. His eyes had dark circles under them. He looked like he'd aged 5 years in the past few months. It's going to take time, I said honestly. You hurt me, Jake. You chose to believe someone you'd known for 8 months over your sister who's been there your entire life. That's not something I can just forget. He nodded, tears sliding down his cheeks. I know, he said. I'll spend however long it takes to earn back your trust, I promise. Rebuilding took months. Jake went to therapy to understand how he'd been manipulated. I went to therapy to process the trauma of being systematically gaslit by someone I tried to welcome into my family. We had hard conversations. We set boundaries. Slowly, carefully, we started to repair what Melissa had broken. I learned that Melissa had done this before. Jake's investigation revealed 2 previous relationships where she'd isolated her partners from friends and family who questioned her. She had a pattern. We'd just been her latest targets. She moved to another city shortly after the recording went public. Last I heard, she was engaged again. I hope her new victim's family is more vigilant than mine was. The experience changed me. I'm more cautious now about who I trust. I pay attention to those subtle warning signs I ignored with Melissa. But it also showed me the strength of real family bonds. Despite the manipulation and lies, we found our way back to each other. Jake and I are closer now than we were before. We joke sometimes that we survived psychological warfare together. Mom asked me last week if I'd ever be able to fully trust Jake again. I thought about it for a long time before answering. I'm choosing to, I said. Because holding onto anger would let Melissa win even after she's gone. She wanted to destroy our relationship. I won't give her that satisfaction. The truth is, betrayal from family cuts deeper than anything else. When the people who are supposed to know you best believe lies about you, it shakes your foundation. But surviving that betrayal and coming out the other side, that makes you unbreakable. Melissa thought she could replace me in my brother's life. She thought she could rewrite my role in my family. She was wrong. I still have the recording. I've never deleted it. Sometimes I listen to it as a reminder to trust my instincts. When someone shows you who they are through subtle actions and comments, believe them. Don't wait for proof. Don't second-guess yourself. I ignored every red flag Melissa waved in my face because I wanted to be supportive. I wanted to believe the best in her. That almost cost me everything. Jake is dating again now. Very slowly, very carefully. He introduced me to his new girlfriend last month, and I was honest with her from the start. If you hurt him or try to isolate him from his family, I will know, I told her. And I won't make the mistake of staying quiet again. She appreciated the directness. We're building a friendship based on honesty and mutual respect. She understands what we went through. She proves through actions, not words, that she's different from Melissa. The family dynamic has shifted too. We're all more aware now of how easily manipulation can take root. We have better communication. We don't let small comments slide anymore. If something feels off, we address it directly. Melissa's manipulation was a wake-up call for all of us. She exposed cracks in our family structure that needed to be fixed. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Marcus hadn't overheard that phone call. Would Melissa have succeeded in completely alienating me? Would Jake have married her and realized too late what she was? The thought keeps me up some nights. But then I remember that the truth has a way of coming out eventually. Melissa's mask was already slipping. People were starting to notice inconsistencies in her stories. The recording just accelerated the inevitable. I'm not the same person I was before Melissa entered our lives. I'm harder in some ways, more guarded. But I'm also stronger. I know my worth now in a way I didn't before. I know that real family will come back to you if they truly love you. I know that manipulation only works if you stay silent. And I know that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is expose the truth and let it speak for itself. The other day, Jake and I went to the park where we used to play as kids. We sat on the swings like we did 20 years ago and talked about everything and nothing. Thank you for not giving up on me, he said. Even when I gave up on you. I kicked my feet in the dirt and looked at the sky. You're my brother, I said simply. That means something, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That's the thing about family. Real family fights for each other. They make mistakes. They believe lies sometimes. They disappoint and hurt each other. The real family also finds their way back. They apologize. They do the work to heal. They choose each other over and over again, even after betrayal. Melissa never understood that. She thought family was something you could manipulate and control. She learned the hard way that real bonds don't break that easily. I'm 27 years old, and I survived a psychological war I didn't even know I was fighting. I watched my reputation get shredded by someone who smiled to my face. I felt my family turn away from me based on lies. I stood alone while everyone chose to believe a stranger over me. And I came through it. Not unscathed. Not unchanged. But stronger. Clearer. More certain of who I am and what I deserve. To anyone going through something similar, hear this: trust yourself. If someone's actions don't match their words, pay attention to the actions. If you're being isolated from people who love you, ask yourself why. If you're constantly defending yourself against accusations that don't make sense, consider the source. Manipulation thrives in silence and self-doubt. Speak up. Find your allies. And never, ever let someone else's lies define who you are. My relationship with Jake will probably always carry the scar of what Melissa did. But scars are proof that you survived. They are evidence that you fought through something hard and came out the other side. I look at my family now with clear eyes. I see their flaws and their strengths. I appreciate them in ways I didn't before. Because I know what it's like to almost lose them. Melissa is somewhere out there, probably weaving new lies for a new audience. Part of me hopes her new partner's family is more vigilant. Part of me knows that people like her keep succeeding until someone stops them. I stopped her. I exposed her. And even though it cost me months of pain and damaged relationships, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because the truth matters. Family matters. And I matter too much to let someone erase me without a fight. This is my story. This is how my brother's fiancée tried to destroy me and how I fought back. This is how manipulation works and how it fails when you refuse to stay silent. This is a reminder that family can be complicated and painful and still worth fighting for. And this is proof that the truth, no matter how long it takes to surface, always finds its way into the light.